I'm not sure what we were thinking that we could both show you around. There's children's parties and all sorts going on this evening. I'll take over the reins just for this bit. Right, we're struggling. We are a few days on now, and we're absolutely knackered. But we're hence why we look different, and it's taken 2 days to tidy 2 more rooms. Anyway, we've shown you upstairs. We're now down on the ground floor, and these are the rooms we started on. This side of the house.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So this is our lounge.
If you remember back, we discovered the mirror, well, we discovered the window, sorry, behind a wall, and this is all a gas fire and hideous, so we ripped that all out and put a lovely, beautiful fire in. Did the cornicing, which we got a mould for because there's a little bit of it in the other front room.
Yeah, in this, the only part in the whole house was this room, wasn't it?
And it wasn't even around the whole room, was it?
So you can see the original up there. We took a cut into that, scribed a template, and then when we built this corner, so we've jumped rooms now, when we built this corner to create a boot room for the other side, that's all new, but obviously it all ties in and match.
And we did the ceiling roses too and changed the lights, obviously, but they were really nice, really easy but effective, weren't they? Definitely.
Yeah, it just makes it feel a bit more original in here, even though not all of it is. And then our first structural bit in the house was to knock through here. So these were 2 rooms independent of each other. So we knocked through here. We've put bifolds. It's probably about 50-50, keeping them open and closed.
It's nice because depending on the weather and like the event or whatever. Sometimes it's quite nice to just put them back. We move our dresser in front of them and to block them off and make this feel more like a room rather than...
One thing that we had noticed is by taking out 2 walls in the house, you lose a lot of wall space. It's quite a big thing, isn't it? Furniture-wise.
We did think about it, but we didn't think it would be too much of an issue. But actually,
dressers, pianos, all those sort of things that have to be against the wall.
And just storage,
Really do.
Or you end up putting stuff in, maybe not as natural a place.
No. Another thing is light switches and lighting. On the ground floor we've done 1 master switch which just does a big chandelier main lighting for the room, but we've also got a lot of 3-pin lamps, and while they're a little bit old school to use, they're a really effective way of just having everything on 1 switch. So all the nice sort of accent corner lighting and table lamps can all be hit off the same switch. Just made sense, and at the same time as doing the rewire, really, you know, pennies in comparison to redoing it in retrofit. So that's I'm sure there's smart versions of that nowadays, but made sense to put it in at the time. Good way to go. Don't drop it on your toes.
Doing some weightlifting.
Whereas upstairs we were able to reclaim the original doors in the last few months and repaint those. We only had glass doors down here and some kind of retrofitted 60s stuff. So we went for a clear pine door, stained it, Osmo, all that sort of stuff. In hindsight, we could have hunted down some old ones and done them to match upstairs, but at the time we didn't know. But they're good enough, and this one is an old size and thicker. So we spent a lot more because we had to basically get fire door thickness instead of just moving the jambs, which would have been easier. We just matched what was there before. And going through to what we use is the dining room now.
Yeah, at the moment we use it as the dining room. It has been a playroom. We kind of flip, don't we, between the 2.
And a lounge. And I used it for business to start with.
Yeah. So it's been a multitude of room functions, but it does suit a dining room. It's a nice dimension.
We did the original floor in here. This one we actually took the whole floor up, insulated, and then restored all the boards. But that's worked well. It's really like no drafts at all in here now, whereas You can imagine these square boards, if they were just their original and you exposed them, you'd have drafts coming up through.
Still have the old shop front door.
Yeah.
Which is hidden behind here because it's a little bit drafty. I mean, it's fine during the summer, obviously.
We have got plans, but it would take full planning. But just to put this back to a stone bay window.
Yeah.
Because at the moment it's obviously got 2 old shop windows from when it was like a little antique shop.
We kind of just use them as storage, don't we?
Yeah.
A little bit at the moment, and actually they're really good for letting in the sunshine and the warmth too, aren't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, they are handy.
Fireplace over here was never intended to be used, but when we exposed all the brickwork, it was actually quite nice, and we thought we'd make a bit of a feature of those. So we normally stack all of our firewood in here in winter, and then the other thing is, what do we do on the walls? Your favourite job in the renovation?
Lime plaster.
Not only lime plaster, but it was lime hemp.
Yeah.
Which is quite a manual task. So we went all the way back to the stonework in these rooms, and it's just a case that it's like tuna mayonnaise inconsistency.
Yes.
You have to kind of push it in and work it into the stone. There's probably a quicker way, but it's quite a primitive method of getting it on there. And then once it's on there, you can skim it afterwards.
Mud hut.
It is, yeah, mud hut. And then we intentionally left no beads on the corners, so there's still the old mop stick, the timbers in here, the poles, so it's nice soft corners. Even though you end up with a little bit more of a imperfect corner, it's far nicer than having a really sharp beaded corner which might look out of place. We don't actually use that TV anymore. That was from when I was doing a lot of wedding photography. I'd used this room, was set up like a viewing room. We had a bigger TV up there just for doing all the kind of premieres with couples after their weddings. Now that's just an old TV up there to cover all the ports, but again, it was kind of thinking of all those things when you do the rewire, where can we run all the stuff that makes things future-proof. So up there's kind of HDMI going under the floor and all that sort of stuff. And then finally this side of the room, this was where things got a little bit weird when we first moved in. We had a door to this room, which was originally the other side of this wall. But then as we were stripping wallpaper, we found a door over there. It must be one of the first 4 or 5 videos we did. So we decided to make that the door for this room. And then because we already had a doorway there, we could stud work and box out that to create like a coat and boot room, or more like a cupboard just inside our front door. So that's why this comes across here. And like everywhere in the house, just knock off the corner at 45 just to make it feel a little bit less jutting into the room. And it's quite a natural feel, especially when you get a cornice and all the trim starts kind of working around that corner. It looks like it was meant to be there. Right, that's this side of the house. Give us a few more days and we'll tidy another room. See you in a minute. We did it, we tidied 2 more rooms, so we're back onto the tour. This is the kitchen. Now, again, this was early on in with the house renovation. We did a full series on this, and there's still a few bits to do, but the starting point was to take down 3 sections of wall. There was a wall here, which just left a hallway running to the back door. There was also full height cupboards and cladding, where we've kind of knocked that out and regained all of these units, a worktop and the hidden staircase down to the cellar. And then lastly was the dividing wall between this room and what is now a playroom, but it's kind of like a breakfast room. And that's when I built the floating cabinets with this hidden steel inside there. So I'm not going to go into every single detail because we've got so many videos on all this already, but this is the hidden cellar hatch. Door swings open and stairs down. I'll try and link to that video. Then we've got wall units up there. This was the coffee machine project, so all kind of bespoke coffee section. This was originally a walk-in larder, kind of a small little pantry area. We ended up sitting a fridge back into there. If in the future we rejig things around, we might move the fridge and reclaim that back, just put little like bifold doors there and shelve out the inside. But for now, that's a nice way of keeping the fridge. Then we've got a full height larder here. granite all the way around, range over here, and an L shape there. Then we've also got this island unit. It sometimes pushes over and sits against there, sometimes we pull it out, but we like kind of switching things up every now and then. And I know perhaps the trend has gone towards greys, blues, whites, gloss cabinets and stuff, but sometimes when you've got really nice figure, this is all pippy oak, English pippy oak, it's a little bit more timeless, and perhaps in an old house like this, it's quite well suited and we like it. I think if we do another kitchen in the future somewhere, whether it's here or somewhere else, we probably would go for a lighter shaker doors. I might make them myself, but you know, for the time being, I just fell in love with this pippy oak. It's just a little bit more unique and got a bit more character. So that's the kitchen. We've done some under cabinet lighting, things like that. Popped a couple of lights inside glass cabinets, but apart from that, we haven't done a huge amount over the last few years, and still working really well. Then through this way to the breakfast room, dining room slash playroom. We're using it as a playroom at the moment. Usually it's just covered. Only you guys get to see this behind the scenes. Yeah, I threw it all out there. So my audio seemed to drop out on the mic, so I'll give you a voiceover for the next minute or so. This is the shaker style wall paneling I did. This was my first attempt and probably one of my best. I really like the depth of this one. Slightly thicker boards and trim with a bit of extra moulding, and you can see I've built it around the original house safe which we found behind a cabinet, and that's basically where nothing important apart from thousands of hours of Restoration Couple archives are stashed in there gathering dust. Right, I'm back. I know you guys have seen this lots, but it's one of my favourite bits I've done recently. This pocket door, it just worked really well. It was a lot of work. But, you know, it's there, but it's not there, if you know what I mean. It's shut, or I should say open most of the time, so it just feels, you know, quite easy to go through and use the bathroom and Joe's studio and stuff that's down there. And just a little bit of boxing in, that's tomorrow's job, where we've run cables to the top floor and to the new workshop, and that one waste pipe from the ensuite. So I'm sure that those of you who have an eye for detail spotted numerous snags and bits I still need to finish around those rooms. And we've also been waffling on because this has already turned into quite a long episode. So what we're going to do is do the garage conversion as its own video. Quite a lot went into that as a project, and also quite a bit externally as well, including a huge natural stone wall which I never featured in any videos last year. So I'll reveal that in the next video too, but we'll go into that. It's a garage conversion which is essentially 3 or 4 rooms now and a real asset to the rest of the house. I hope you enjoyed looking around the ground floor. If you've got any questions, stick them down below. Equally, love to hear which of the before and afters was your favourite out of those. And hopefully it won't be too long before we can share the next video, which, like I say, will be the garage conversion, and I might get some sneaky shots of the cellar. Now hopefully you noticed some of those video cards popping up during this episode. If you want to check out the bits I talked about, then do so by following those links. I'll try and put them in the description as well. Things like the cellar staircase, using some of that lime hemp plaster, insulating floors, all that sort of good stuff that's quite a few years ago now. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.